All right, let's say I'm live, so I'm double checking right now. Well, shoot. All right. Well, I guess let me go on Free Thinkers Worldwide. So I'm going to assume that I'm live now. So if I am, welcome to another edition of Free Thinkers. I'm your host, Q. I will be talking my stuff today. We're going to be doing some free range on the thread. I have been on vacation for the last week and a half, so I haven't been on the page much, and I was on a cruise, so even though I supposedly had access to internet, it was kind of spotty, so I just didn't even worry about it too much. So today we're going to be talking about various things that grabbed your attention on the page. I got a couple of things, even though I haven't been back on live or been back on the page often. There was a couple things that grabbed my attention, but I'm going to double check first. What am I looking for? And I'm gonna make sure I share this to free thinkers because I think this went directly to my page. Okay, it says live now. Okay. All right. So keep in mind, free thinkers, for the last, I don't know, several years, we've been doing this open dialogue forum. That's where the page actually came from, the group itself. And we kind of expanded the page on the Book of Faces and other places based upon the pandemic and quarantine. So then we just found different ways to keep conversation going. So anyone is invited to be a part of the conversation. We just ask that you be honest, be open. The differing opinions is what makes this conversation work. Anything that you want to talk about, we open for it. So if you haven't, now one thing that I did see that was an issue was I don't think the link is like a hyperlink. Like it doesn't, you have to actually go across it and copy and paste. I think when Nikki sent it to me, it didn't, the link is not like just touch friendly where you touch it and it goes straight to the link. But go to StreamYard. Just click on the link, or if you need to, just copy and paste, and then we're gonna have a conversation. So let me pull up a couple of things that grab my attention, and some things that I may have not looked at. But keep in mind, you can always, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, you can always go to the page and kind of get more information. Now, let me see. I want to make sure that this is showing live. Maybe I need to go to my personal page and just move it over. I'm not sure. Or maybe, no, I ain't got time to do all that. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. So it is there, and I'm just going to share this over to free thinkers. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm learning on the fly. I'm learning live. And I guess this is going to free thinkers.
Let's see. All right, there's me and you, and we are live.
Okay, I think we're live.
Yeah, we're live. It's been live for 4 minutes. Okay. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, I just lost my signal. Okay, there we go.
So, oops, hold on. Oh, I was gonna ask what grabbed your attention. But have you been able to actually see the page?
I mean, yes, I can. Hold on, let me turn my phone
Okay,
sideways. Yes, I can see the
you just
page. I
can't
just haven't
comment
able
or
to.
respond.
No, that's why I've been sending y'all little DMs and shit. I'm like, I can't talk to nobody, so I'm just gonna send y'all instant messages.
Okay. So it's a couple things that grab my attention. Is there anything directly that is on top of your mind while you are in and out? Nikki's gonna be in and out because she got important business to attend to.
I mean, I liked the conversation. There's so many things that I liked. Nothing in particular because I couldn't engage in conversation about anything. So I liked the post that Kevin had put up. I think
Uh-huh.
even maybe I
Let's
think
talk about that.
Tiara. Well, and I think Tiara had put something up that I thought was really good too. There was a few posts in there that I was like, "Oh, these are interesting." We were talking
Now,
about
which post are you referring to that Kevin put up? I'm trying to see if it's the
doing about
same.
the religion, like if you could find
Yes.
out for a fact whether or
Yes.
not what you believed was true or not, or
Uh-huh.
something along those lines. I think is how I read that to be.
Yes. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Where's
Well,
I
okay,
need
while you're
to
doing that, did you do introduction at all? I missed the very
yes, I did.
beginning. You did?
Yeah, I
Okay, so
did that. It
okay,
it
so I'll
was
leave it
it was
alone.
it was very sloppy, but it was done.
Okay, good. You got the introduction in there, so we're good. And y'all just bear with me. I'm in jail again, and we're finishing getting my dad's house on the market. So we literally have until like tonight to finish this up. So you get no earrings, you get no glam, you get nothing. This is about as raw as it gets. But if anybody's an electrician and they want to come over and help us wire up this fucking light, feel free to come over. But yeah, so I liked Kevin's post for sure, and that's
So what do you think about that post?
I would think that if I was a believer, if there was something that I truly subscribed to and I lived my life by the codes of and the promise of, the afterlife, seeing my family again in the afterlife, like all of those things, I would want to know if it was true or not. Like I would want to know if what I was, yes, I'd want to know.
But
Yeah,
that's
I'd,
that's
I'd want to know.
that's only half of the post.
And yes, and so I'm totally paraphrasing because I read the whole thing and then we'll go from there.
Right. So and that's the thing where I don't know if this post I can't say makes sense, but it in a way. So it's let me find it. Would you give up your religion? Would you give up your religion to know the truth about your religion?
Okay, would you give up your religion to know the truth about your religion?
See, that's a very leading. See,
Would
because
you
that
give
that
up your religion to find out the truth? I mean, wouldn't you want to? Like, would it? I guess that kind of goes against the debate of having faith or not, right? Because if you have faith, then you just automatically, my expectation, you just automatically assume that what I'm believing in about my religion is going to be what it's going to be. So I guess having faith means maybe you wouldn't want to give it up to find out, but I would want to know. So would I give it up? Because you can still give it up and still have the same beliefs. But I would. I think that, and maybe it's because I don't have a belief on what I think happens after we die or not. Like maybe that makes me more inquisitive to want to know what the answer is. But I would want to know if what I've been living my life towards is is what I've been living my life to be. Like I would. But that doesn't mean that you have to give up your tenets, right? That doesn't mean that you have to
no,
give
that's what it
up.
says. Would you give up your religion to know the truth about your religion?
But you can still have beliefs in what you believe. Like let's say some of your beliefs, are, I mean, you have other codes because the religion part is just a ritual aspect to that, right? So you could still,
And I think that's where people have different definitions. But religion is nothing more than a practice.
right, right.
So if you see that, and that's why the statement is loaded. Kevin, if you hear, then jump on. Um,
He's
or
usually in the
Edward,
comment section
Edward, yeah,
too.
or Edward. I don't know where Edward been. You need to jump on too, Edward. I want to have this
Right,
conversation.
right, right.
Um, but it's two. Number one, it's loaded because it's making the assumption that your religion is not true.
But it doesn't necessarily. It's just asking
But
if
if
you'd
it
like
was
to know
true,
or not.
if it was true, then why would you give it up?
I mean, but at the end of the day, nobody knows whether what they're nobody knows if their religion is actually true or not. You don't know till you die. Like nobody knows. You can believe it with everything in you, but you not gonna know till the moment that you die to know what the
So
afterlife
so so
comes
so
with.
so let's work this a little bit, Nikki. Let's
Okay.
replace let's replace the word religion with husband.
Okay.
Would you give up your husband to know the truth about your husband? It only makes sense if
But
your
I
husband
don't
is a
think
piece of
that.
ish.
No, but you can't even. I don't think you compare. I don't think
Yeah,
that you can compare something else besides religion to religion
no,
because
you can.
because a
You
husband
wouldn't
is
give
just
up.
a person. A husband is just a partner. Religion is a lifestyle. Your husband is not your lifestyle. Your partner is not your end all be all like afterworld. Like religion is
It
a.
don't even have to be an end all be all. Would you give up a person to find out the truth about them? And if you found out that they were as true as what you thought they were, then why would you give them up? That only applies if the person is a piece of ish.
I just can't compare
So
that
then
to
it'll be easy to give
religion.
them up if you find out that it's not. Yeah, that's with anything. Hold on a second, Edward. I'm about to put the link in here. I'm trying to.
It's pinned at the top of the Free
Yeah,
Thinkers
it's
Facebook page.
in. So just
Click on the
open
StreamYard
it
link.
up.
It's in there.
Yeah, and see, part of the problem was it wasn't the link
Hyperlinked.
wasn't it wasn't hyperlinked. So just copy and paste. The link is there. Just copy and paste, and then you can click on it and come in. Let me know if you don't see it ever. But this
Okay, but have you ever questioned anything in your religion? I mean, I would assume it's natural to question your religious principles until you come to a belief that this is just what it is. So I don't think it's necessarily anything more than just questioning, but wanting confirmation. But to compare it to a person, like I literally don't think you can compare a religious belief to anything other. That's like
but to
apples and
say you
oranges.
have to give it up in order to know the truth about it. Let's keep going. Would you
But I also
would you
believe
give up heaven to know the truth about heaven?
that would assume that you believe you're going to go to heaven. Like I don't
So
know.
what
I
if
don't
I
know what the
find out that
afterlife holds.
but that's what I'm saying. What if I find out that heaven is real and that I get to learn all about heaven, but now since I learned the truth about heaven, now I have to give it up? That doesn't make sense.
But that
Why
doesn't
would
mean
you
you're not.
give up
But that doesn't
something
mean
that's
that you're not going to go to heaven. Like you're still going to go because that's what your truth just showed you
no,
that
you
that's
give
where
it
you're
up.
going.
No, you give it up. That's what I'm saying. Why would you give up anything that if it happens to be true, then why would you give it up? Or let me even say this further. There could be elements of it that's not true. Now there's certain things that even if there's pieces of it that's not true, does that
Mm-hmm.
mean that you're going to get rid of all of it? You may find out, oh, you know what? Yeah, that really is false and that's wrong. But then at the same time, okay, now I know what to follow and what not to follow. So you might modify the way you believe something, but that don't mean you want to throw it away.
Right.
Why would you give it up just to know the truth about it? And especially if you still ultimately deem that it's beneficial.
Does giving it up indicate that it? Because for me, and I made this statement a couple weeks ago, and I've said this before. Like I don't feel like a person has to have religion to be a good person. Meaning, just because I have religion, that doesn't make me righteous. Like I can still be righteous in my own spirit. I can live a good life. I can treat people well. I can want equality for all people. Like I can want good things. So I don't think that you have to have religion to be a good person, to live a righteous life. So in giving that up for me doesn't mean that you're less righteous, doesn't mean that you're anything less than what maybe you were with religion. But ultimately, I think, and then maybe that's just my curiosity, I would want to know, like, is this really what it is versus not? And so let's say a person said, okay, yeah, fine, I'll give it up just to find out the truth. Does that mean that you can't live in your truth anymore? Does that mean that you can't live in righteousness? Does that mean, so it's not like you have to give
So
up
then
those
you're not actually
principles.
giving it up then.
So here's the question. What does it mean exactly? What exactly are you giving up to give up your religion?
Right, yeah.
I don't know. That's what I don't
That's
understand
that's
that
like
part
that's
of
what
it.
I'm asking. Like, you can still be good
Here's
and
my
righteous
question.
and whole.
Are you saying just give up the label, what you label
Here's the thing.
yourself as?
It depends on how you're defining, because to give up a religion, right, that's the only sticky part of the conversation. Because when you made the comparison to a person, that is an inappropriate comparison, because a religion is a belief system. It's not a physical thing. It would be
Right.
comparable to say, would you give up your belief that, this is right versus wrong or something like that if you found out the truth of that thing? But it's not a physical, tangible thing, really. To give up your religion, you have to define, what does that mean? Are you giving up the behaviors that the religion teaches you to have? Or are you just giving up the fact that you claim Jesus Christ is the name of the Savior? Or what exactly does it mean to give up a religion? Now,
Right.
in my opinion, to give up a religion, because if you take it back down a few steps, all religions have a couple of things in common, right? They all believe in be good, do unto others. The real basic parts are the same amongst all of them. The real difference between one religion and another are details. Like, some believe you can use birth control, some think you can. Some are detailed about which person is the
Down
Messiah,
here.
but not what the Messiah means, as far as like, should you be a good person? So giving up a religion, the details of it are specifically just which religion do you have and which details differ from the others. So realistically, that's the only part you're giving up, is the tiny details that separate your religion from another religion. Because without those details, all religions are just basic morals. You're not giving up morals, because morals don't require a religion. So you have morals with or without
A
religion.
huge brush that you just swept you swept all religions, and that's a mighty big broom you got
But
there.
that was like my point too. And me and Edward don't agree all the time, but like, that was my point, is you're not giving up your quality, the qualities about you that make you righteous. Like, it's just
The
giving
morals
up
are
this,
not
What
specific to
if
a
the
religion.
yeah,
practices
like
are
the
what make
morals.
hold on, what if the practices are what make you, or what help make you and mold you and structure you to what you are?
Here's what
Just
I'm
like
asking.
Muslims say they pray 5 times a day. So for
Right.
you to
Yeah,
learn the
but
truth about Islam, then you let go of those practices.
but those practices do not affect their morals. Those practices are symbolic to discipline them, to
You
keep them doing it.
can't. I
So
can't
here's
say
the
that.
thing.
I can't
I'm
say that.
asking a question of you, Q. So besides the morals, because morals are not religion, morals are completely capable of having no religion whatsoever. So
Correct.
the defining definition of religion can't be the morals. You can't use morals as the definition of religion. So if you give up your religion, you're not giving up any of your morals. You're giving up some sort of like ritualistic style activities or titles, but your morals, those exist separate from religion.
Do you believe that some people use religion to help structure your morals? So for
Absolutely.
instance, that
Absolutely.
but that's part of my
But
point.
but
If
that's not
someone
the
if
religion.
prayer and meditation
But they could have found
helps
that
mold
same thing any other way.
hold on. If prayer and meditation helps mold your character, helps funnel your focus, it improves the quality of life and your peace of mind throughout the day, or how you operate or how you respond, because you use a certain time to be one with yourself, whether you call it prayer, meditation, humming, whatever you want to call it. If this statement is saying, would you give that up to know the truth of your religion, then why would you do something that is essential for you? See, because if you don't subscribe to religion, then you yourself may not believe that it's essential. Someone else may believe that it's very essential.
Right. I guess the better way to put it is, because of course it's going to mean different thing to different people, right? Obviously, how you define giving up religion is going to determine how you answer that question. So for each individual, this is a very different question.
Let me ask you, Edward, how do you define religion?
I define religion as a set of practices specifically guiding you in how to, well, it is kind of hard because religion is so complicated. I define
I think it's
religion,
two-part, but go ahead.
yeah. So I'm a much more exacting person than most people. When I define something, I'm going to define it in a way that only applies to it, right? Because religion isn't a set of morals, because they all have those morals in common. And morals exist with or without religion. Atheists have all those same morals without the religion. So you can't use that as the definition of religion. The thing that makes religion separate would have to be what you would define it as. So it's really more of a set of rules that hold you to it. It's more like I would say religion is closer to law enforcement than the morals behind the laws. Because a good person is going to follow the law with or without punishment, right? A bad person needs the punishment to force them to believe in it. Now, it doesn't mean all people who have religion are bad. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying religion isn't the morals. It's if you do the right thing, you go to heaven. If you do the wrong thing, you go to hell. So the biggest difference between morals and religion is the punishment structure. Because atheists don't have one. You do the right thing just because it's the right thing to do, or you do the wrong thing because you want to, but there's no inherent built-in punishment or reward to it. Religion is a reward or punishment program. If you're good, you go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to hell. But the morals that get you to either one are the same for people with or without religion. So
That's
really,
not
the biggest difference
necessarily.
is the reward and punishment.
Satanists don't believe if you're good, you go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to hell.
Actually, they
I mean,
kind of do in a weird way. They believe you can't get. Hang on. Have you personally studied Satanism?
I have not studied it, but from people I've spoken to, that's not what. And it's not all in one and the same. So just
right, but they have
all Satanists are not created equal.
Right. And just like all other religions, they have a version of here's a reward if you do this, and here's a punishment if you do that. So it's not the same thing as heaven and hell, but it's very similar as far as if you follow these rules, the same kind of morals, then you're rewarded. If you don't follow these morals, then you are punished. Their reward and punishment are different, but it's still the exact same structure as every other religion. Do the right thing, you get good stuff. Do the wrong thing, you get bad stuff. Morals and religion, the only difference between the two is the version of punishment and reward system that you get for it. Atheists just do it because they do it. Religion specifically name out and give details of, because that's the biggest difference between each one. If you do this, you get this specific kind of reward. If you break these exact little things, you get this specific kind of punishment.
That's not true. I can say that's not true. That's not true for all religion. Not at all.
Okay, name a religion that doesn't have a punishment or reward system built into it.
No, what you said is if you do this, this is the specific punishment that comes from this. If you do this, this is the specific reward you get
from
from
it. You go to hell. In these other ones, if you commit this sin, you don't get reincarnated in as good a spot. It is a specific. Everyone has its own rules. 72 virgins for this. If you get this, they all have rules, and to say they don't is ridiculous. You've got a list.
That's not true. But it doesn't mean that there's exacting consequences for what. Well, that's what you just said.
But isn't the ultimate consequence? But isn't the ultimate consequence is you don't get redemption? The ultimate consequence, if you don't live the life that they say you have to live, is that you don't get to come to heaven. You don't get to reincarnate. Like,
which religion are you referring to when you say that?
You get rewarded for good stuff, you get punished for bad stuff. I wasn't trying to say it was super specific. I'm saying all religions have that in common.
No, but there are certain people, even atheists, and some people who believe in, basically, some people believe in karma in a generalistic standpoint.
Yeah, that's agnostic. That's not atheist. Atheists don't believe in anything.
But you still subscribe to a lot of those tenets. I'm not saying you directly, but a lot of them do.
But in other words, atheists very specifically don't believe in any karma. They don't believe in any religion. if
That's
you do
not
the right
why
thing.
you keep making these sweeping statements. That's not true. Some
Look
of
it
them,
up. That's the
that's true.
Webster's
No, it's
definition.
true for some of them, but for some of them, it's not. There's some atheists
For
that,
people who
or would you talk
misdefine a
about
word.
agnostic? But go ahead.
Okay, the difference is, and I'm going by the dictionary definition. Look up in the dictionary. Now, people misuse words all the time. That doesn't mean anything. You can call yourself a Christian and be out there, raping and pillaging and cheating on your wife and doing all these things. We've had a president just like that, right? We frequently have people who claim a title but don't know what it means. I'm using the Webster's the definition. Atheists,
Webster is an
by
atheist.
definition,
Webster was an
don't
atheist. Can we
believe.
go by that?
Yeah, Webster's definition, they don't believe in anything. Now, agnostic, they believe in something, but they don't have a set, I don't know exactly what to believe in.
Right.
Karma,
It's something out there. I just don't know what it is. Atheist is nothing. Like I've agreed to, there's nothing out there.
Yeah, it's frequently
So
misused.
you're saying all atheists believe the same, or are you just saying that's just the Webster's definition of it?
I'm saying if you use the word properly, somebody who knows what an actual atheist is, they will say, yeah, I don't have religious beliefs.
Yeah, if you call yourself an atheist.
So then most atheists don't use the term correctly. Is that
just like most Christians don't use it correctly? The entire evangelical, if you're voting for, child molesters and men who grab them by the pussy and all this kind of stuff, you're not really a Christian and supporting that at the same time. Most religions have people misusing the title. You were asking what's the difference. So, but again, we're veering off the point. The biggest difference between religion and morals is the reward and punishment program. Not specifics. We don't need to get into specifics, but
hold on.
Okay.
The reward and punishment, are you talking about in this life or the next life? I think that's the biggest difference between what we have to differentiate with this specific post.
Well, that's two different things. Depends on your religion. That depends on your specific religion because they're all a little different. But your religion right now, because we can't talk to all of them simultaneously. So I guess we might as well just pick yours.
That's what the post did. No, but that's what the post did. So, and even when I critique the post, I was speaking of it from a general, not just me personally, but I was speaking of it from a general standpoint.
Well, this is a question that the devil's in the details. It depends on who you ask. What is their religion and what do they define as giving up religion?
So okay, so hold on a second. Are we going to redefine this post? If we want to redefine, would you give up Christianity to know the truth about Christianity? Then we can go from there. But the post said religion, so that's why I'm just sticking to the post.
Right.
I'm sticking to the post also because we don't have every religion here. We don't have every person with a religion in the room to ask them, what do you define as religion? As far as what detail of religion are you giving up to give up religion? Because you're not giving up the belief to be a good person. Those are just
right.
So specifically to your religion, and we can use yours just because you're the one in the room, specifically what in your religion would you have to give up that's just religious? Because the moral portion of it is not just religious.
Right.
And the thing that you're trading for is you're trading whatever you consider the part to give up to actually know 100%, is there a God? Is there life after death? Like, for a fact whether or not any of this meant anything. What possible part of the religion would be worth not giving up to know for certain? Because then you would know the things that you're doing. And what if you are wrong? And I'm not saying that religion as a whole is wrong. What if you found out you were wrong and a different religion was correct and you were going by the wrong set of rituals? You still want to go to heaven, right? What if you found out Muslim practice of prayer was the difference between whether or not you got in or got out, right? You'd be giving up your religion and switching to a different one so that you could get it, right?
Right. No. I got that part. But the post gave the alluded to, would you? So if I found out, let's say,
yeah, we're still.
I'm going to. Yes, I'm going to partake in this, and we find out that, you know what, Q, everything that you thought about Christianity is absolutely right. It is the way, the truth, light. It's all of that. Everything that is the true. So why then would I give it up after it's discovered that it is the truth?
Question. Here's where that question is so important.
You love answering questions with questions. Well, go ahead.
No, you have to on this because you haven't answered the question to begin with. What part of your religion are you actually giving up? And will that keep you from still being part of the religion, as far as like, if you do a good thing, right, you're still going to get rewarded, right? Like, if heaven is a real place, what part of your religion, honestly, would you have to give up where you could live a perfect life and you can't get into heaven because you gave up that one thing?
Right.
Right. So that's what I'm asking.
Again,
That's the question, which is why I have to keep
I
asking
know,
you.
but again, that's why I asked you what was your definition of religion?
My definition of religion is just specific rules outside of morals, because morals exist with or without religion. So it's like, you
Right.
got to pray this many times a day. You've got to,
Right.
don't eat shellfish, right? Don't eat pork. Do you honestly think any one of those tiny little rules is going to keep you from getting into heaven?
Right.
Or is it going to be one of the big things that morals already cover? Because morals already covered. Don't steal,
I
don't
got
steal.
that. I got what you're saying. But this
Yeah.
post states that either way, you're going to give up. You're going to give it up to find out the truth about it.
Well, I guess let me rephrase the question then. So do you believe anyone who lives a perfect Christian life but has never heard of Christianity?
I don't think that's possible, but go ahead.
Okay, you're going to tell me that a person who was born and raised in some tribe in Africa who's never
I'm saying I don't think it's possible to live a perfect Christian life or a perfect life, period. But go ahead.
I don't think anybody, period, can, following the Bible or not, right?
Gotcha.
But
I don't either. Go ahead.
Hypothetically, say a person lives an amazingly perfect life. They do nothing but help people. They always, they make everyone around them better people. They're always an amazing person, but they've never heard of Christianity. When they die, would they go to heaven?
Number one, I don't know. Number two, I wouldn't. Right. Number one, I don't. Well, see, you can't ask me that.
Why not? The post is asking everybody. So in your religion, to the best of your knowledge,
I'm not a
person who's never heard of the Bible.
Yeah, but contrary to what you might think, I'm not a religious person in the way that you may think me to be.
Oh, I know. I've personally read like all of them. Now I've had strokes since then, so I can't remember a lot of the details and they get all mixed up. But back in the day, I was required by my parents to read every version of every Bible because I wasn't allowed to like gripe about going to church or not unless I understood them all and I picked one. And if I picked one, then I had to go. Right. So it was a weird kind of upbringing. But one of the big things is there are weird little loopholes in Christianity. You have to accept Jesus Christ as your savior, right? Do you honestly believe that that is legit? Do you believe, and this is just a personal opinion question, do you think a loving God worth worshiping, a God that is representative of what you think God should be, do you think that God would actually exclude people who live a perfect life just because they've never seen the Bible?
Me personally, no. But but let me say, I don't represent if you're trying to talk about Christianity, I don't represent the majority or the masses.
Right. But what I'm saying is this question is specific to each individual. So in that circumstance for you, if you found out it was all true, and then you found out that, you have to accept Jesus Christ, and that means everyone who's never seen a copy of the Bible, everyone who's never seen a white person or has never learned to read, all those people are going to hell for no reason whatsoever. Is that a religion worth following in the first place?
Right. And the answer to that would be no.
Okay.
But so the answer to that, but it's two-sided. That's my whole point about this post. And I think this post is really a brain screw. This post is a brain screw because that's the one side of it. If it is wrong and it's sending people to hell that shouldn't be in hell, and it's having your mind view things in a way that's unproductive to you and not even true, then why would you want to continue to follow that? But based on this post, even if everything that you found out was true, you would still discontinue that way of practice. And that doesn't make sense.
This is a double-edged sword because to really make the choice, you have to know the answer before you can decide if the answer is worth it. Because whatever the answer is so vital to...
Don't know the answer.
Right, but that's the point. If you're making this big of a decision, like if you are giving up all of your religious beliefs in exchange for finding out were they true, you have to kind of know the answer before you can really make the choice, unless you're already somebody that the
So
religion
if you
doesn't
don't
matter.
know the answer, then is it should you not make that choice?
It depends on how important it
See,
is.
and that's why my spouse analogy made more sense.
Well, that's different because it is a belief, not a person.
It's different, but it still has the same sentiment. You're giving up something regardless. So why would I give up my wife to know the truth about my wife?
It's really not a valid comparison. Like,
It
I'm sorry.
is. And no,
It's just not.
you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. It's you're going to give up something regardless. And why would I give up something regardless, even if it is what I thought that it was? If I think that my wife is the most wonderful thing in the world and it turns out that she actually is, then I still have to give her up because I found out the truth about her?
There's a giant difference in here because you're forgetting about the possibility, and it's a large one, that if you give up your religion to find out the truth, and the truth is that if you live a great life, you go to hell. If you don't murder anyone, you don't cheat, you don't steal, you don't do any of that kind of stuff, you go to heaven, regardless of the rules of the religion. Good people get rewarded, and people who murder and steal and all that kind of stuff go to hell, even if no Bible existed. If that was the truth you found out, that is different from you give up something entirely. Because your wife, if you give up your wife, there's no version, you don't like, because religion, if you give it up, the rewards of religion apply to, you can't give up a person and still keep them. You can give up a religion and still get the rewards if the religion doesn't require that detail. If that detail, if you have to accept Jesus Christ to be able to get in, if that detail's not there and you live a good life, you'll get in whether you believe or not, right? If you give up your wife and then you find out the truth of her, you don't get her back because, you know, it's not a fair comparison.
That's what this post says, though. That's what this post says.
Right.
To know the truth about a thing, you'd have to give it up. Would you do it?
But religion is a very different thing from a person. And again,
the sentiment still can apply. Let's say it's different. Let's say it's different. Of course, it's different. Yeah. It's not exactly the same thing.
It's monstrously different.
Would you give up your spouse, your girlfriend, your significant other
to
know the full truth about them?
I'm sorry, Q. That is utterly not a good comparison, because
I'm saying the post is not a good comparison. Like that's the thread of the post doesn't make sense unless you have a predetermined mindset that your religion is off.
You're missing the obvious part. The reward from heaven is after you die, and it's the same thing. You could still get it if the rules of the religion don't apply. If the morals that you would have had without religion still apply, you could still get it. You don't get that by giving up your wife. You don't still get your wife and give up your wife.
Do you understand that religion is more than just trying to be a good person for the sake of the afterlife? Many people follow or subscribe to a religion for because of what it does for them on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, but that thing that they get day to day is imaginary. It's not a spouse.
You say that.
Thing. Oh no, it is, because it is 100% imaginary, just like motivation. Like that. A spouse is a physical thing, right? The day-to-day benefit I can get from a spouse, they can physically take care of me. They can physically help me pay bills. The thing you get from religion, sure, hope, faith, goodwill, all that kind of stuff, that is imaginary, because people do that without religion every damn day.
Hope is imaginary also, is that right?
Yeah, all emotions, realistically, you decide.
So does that mean that they're not valid, or you should not? Are you saying that you shouldn't have hope?
I did not say they're not valid.
So you can't dismiss it just because you say it's imaginary.
What I'm saying is, you can have hope without religion. I can decide to have hope without ever having religion. What they get from religion, they could just choose to have without it. There's nothing that religion gives you that you couldn't just decide to have. Because faith, if you want to have faith that you'll be rewarded in the afterlife, agnostics all have that without picking a religion, right? Mm-hmm. You have faith that if you're good, something good will happen to you in the next life, whatever. Nothing that religion gives you is something that you couldn't just decide to do. You can decide to be a good person without religion. You can decide to have hope and faith and just like be all the things that you want to be. You can decide to have inner strength without religion. 100% name something that religion can give you that you can't just have by deciding to be a happier person, a more hopeful person. Because I'm not religious. I dare you to name something that I don't have because I don't have religion.
Sure. And I get what you're saying.
I'm still waiting. I would like an answer because you're making it sound like they need the religion to have these things. They don't.
You can't say what the next person needs in order. So let me say this. Your discipline.
Real quick. That's kind of my point though, Q, was that it doesn't mean that the religion is shit. Like when you started the conversation, it was like that would assume that a person thinks their religion is shit. And I don't think that. I don't think that it has to be shit to want to know the truth or.
So why would you give it up though? Why would you give up any practice? That's like you, Nikki, giving up if they say, we're going to tell you the truth about this AA 12-step program, and now you have to give it up because you know the truth about it. So now you no longer teach. Every time I use a scenario, you say, oh, that don't count. Yes, it does. It's a structure and a way that you go about operating to make yourself function in a way that you think is beneficial for you.
Right.
Why would you give that up just because you don't need that? Why would you say the next person? I use it even as a practice.
The question is an individual question. Only the individual can answer it. So it's not a question fits all kind of thing.
You say that, but you start speaking on behalf of other people when you say, so anybody else can have the same outcome without the structure that they currently use.
They actually can because
you can't say it's individual and then speak on behalf of somebody else.
Whether you believe in air or not, if you walk into a room and you breathe, you will get air. Having hope and having faith, it isn't the set of things that make you think you've got it. It's the decision to have it, right? That physical body, that person is physically capable of experiencing hope with or without religion, right? I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm speaking simple physical fact. You can experience an emotion without religion. And there's not an emotion that religion can give that is physically impossible to have without it. So realistically, I can say that for everyone because whether you believe in air or not, you can still breathe and you'll still survive.
Both sides of your mouth now.
I'm just saying.
You just said it's a personal experience that someone has to answer for themselves, and now you're saying you can speak on behalf of other people.
You completely ignored what I said to decide on that. I'm saying you can have hope without having religion.
That was my point I didn't jump over. That was my point in the beginning. If someone uses a certain practice or belief system or way that they operate in order to
you're saying that
better themselves, how can you yourself say that they don't need it?
They didn't really that person is physically incapable of ever experiencing.
So, okay, let's go here. So Nikki, when Nikki introduce somebody to a 12-step program, they going through the course, and then Edward, you come along and say, well, you could have got to that same conclusion. You didn't need those steps that she told you to actually get to that conclusion.
That's true though.
They have the 12-step program without the 12 steps. It's called logical AA. They have the exact same results without the religion.
There's rational recovery, there's celebrate recovery, there's we agnostic. So 12 steps works for a lot of people, but that's just
but you're telling the person who recovered by the 12 steps that it's not necessary anymore. Maybe and you could be right.
It's not necessary. There are alternatives.
For that person, it was necessary.
There are alternatives that don't have to be a God-based type of solution for a lot of people.
And they work just as well.
For that person, it was necessary.
Yeah, by that logic, every person, so no one can answer this except for the individual, which is what I said earlier, because it depends on that individual.
You stepped over your own statement, but go ahead.
I'm not stepping over my own statement.
Because then you just said I'm going to speak for everybody else. Go ahead.
For the record, I never once said I'll speak for everyone else.
You did. What I did rewind it. Go ahead.
Go ahead and rewind it. You find those words, I'll pay you $10 at the start.
Oh shoot! I'm about to be a rich man. I'm about to be rich. I'm about to be rich. Go ahead.
What I said at the start was this question is individual based because every individual has a different definition of what giving up religion means to them. So only the individual can answer this question. I said that quote unquote. I guarantee it. Go find it here.
I said
you said that. The vague statements I made were anyone who experiences hope from religion that person would still be physically capable of experiencing hope some other way. They may not know it because they haven't done it, but that physical body is capable of experiencing all those emotions some other way. That was my general statement. But I said specifically for this question, only the individual can answer it because it does depend on what you think of as giving up religion. Because that is going to be different for everybody depending on what their religion is, how deeply they follow it, what their defining line is of the religion. Because a lot of people see the religion as the morals, but those morals exist without religion. They aren't exclusive to it. So they're just hanging on to a part that isn't necessary, right? Morals are very important to your life, but they are not exclusive to any religion. So really, if you're giving up your religion, that isn't the part you're giving up. You're giving up some sort of rituals or very specific details, but your moral code, you're not giving that up because that moral code exists without.
Well, that stays the same. And that was my whole point in the beginning is I didn't want the association to be that a religion would have to be shit in order to want to give it up. Because I don't believe that to be the case. I just think my inquisitive nature would want to know the finite truth, whether it is or it isn't, like what I am living my life for when it's all said and done versus let's say you find out that it's not what you thought it was. That shouldn't make you or one any less righteous or any less moral or any less hopeful or any less faithful. Now maybe faith could be tested because now you found out this shit was a lie. But I just didn't want the assumption to be that religion would have to be shit in order to question whether or not it's worth giving up to learn the truth. Because I don't think that that's the same thing. I don't think it has to be shit.
I don't think that either. A religion could be amazing. Say, I'm just going to make a hypothetical here. Say I believe in Christianity and I think all of the morals and the codes and everything like that are absolutely fantastic. Because I do agree the morals behind the religion are great. I have absolutely no qualms with that. So if I was asked this question and I was some sort of devout Catholic, the idea of knowing, is God real? Is there an actual plan to everything? And is there a real guiding purpose, even behind the suffering? Is there some sort of reason behind all of this? I can't even fathom not giving up my religion to find out, because that is the ultimate question. You can't get any closer to God than actually knowing.
So let me ask this. Because many religions say that you have to follow the tenets of that religion in order to make it to heaven.
Right. Most of those tenets are basic morals.
Hold on. Let's do a hypothetical. If we found out that it was absolutely true and I got to speak to the maker and the maker was like, yeah, all of that's true. You need to absolutely follow these tenets. You need to follow everything in order to make it to heaven. Now, I just made a deal with not the devil, what it seemed like, but kind of did, because since I know the truth, I can no longer follow that religion. Was it worth it for me to?
Nobody in the post said that it would be worth it. They only asked if you would do it.
Right? So that's why I disagree with the premise of the post. To say regardless, you have to let go of it, whether it's good, bad, or different, needs to be altered.
Yeah,
wouldn't that still mean you're going to go to heaven anyways? I mean, if all dogs go to heaven,
because I can no longer follow the religion based off.
But if the truth is, when we die, we go to heaven, whether you're good or bad.
No. The truth is, you ain't follow. You wouldn't follow.
Right, but that's a specific.
What I was saying, what I said. If I found out the truth about the religion, and what it was is that you have to follow this religion in order to make it to heaven.
Yeah,
I just X myself out of it because I've made an agreement that I will no longer follow the religion. That's I'm not going to heaven.
Actually, if you're going by Vegas odds, the odds are much, much higher that you would find out. Okay, so how many religions are there? Right? A bunch. Right? There's more than one. We can simply say there's more than one. The odds are higher that you would find out, oh, religion is correct. You've got the wrong one. You need to follow those tenets to get in. the odds are statistically higher that you're following the wrong religion than following the right one. That's just mathematics, right? So the odds are higher if you gave up your religion to find out the truth. The odds are higher that you would actually find out which set of tenets do get you in. Because there's so many religions, the odds of you having the right one, because you didn't pick your religion. You were given your religion by the people who raised you, and they were given theirs by the people who raised them. Very few people in this country went out, studied theology, and then made a choice, as opposed to you were just raised with this religion, right? So the odds are high that pretty much everybody's wrong. If there is a religion, just hypothetically, say there is one God and there's one set of specific rules.
Mm-hmm.
That means there's only one group that's got it right and every other religion is wrong. Yeah. So by that logic, the odds are higher that you would actually find out you're following the wrong thing than the odds were, I was following the right thing, now I can't.
Went a different direction with this, but I mean,
I was just going off your example.
Vegas eyes, then I would
goes to that.
probably agree with you.
Yeah, the odds are higher.
Because the odds are that your precise belief system is probably not that.
Your example was you found out it's real, but
right. You stand by probabilities.
Yeah, by probability.
I don't know if that's what the post was saying, but yeah, I get you.
If I'm a gambling man, I'm going to take those odds to find out the truth, because if your soul is that important, that's the part that kills me. I don't understand people who get that vehement about religion and say how important it is, but they don't know the first damn thing about the other religions.
I agree with you.
Because you're betting your soul on something that you did no research on. Are you kidding me? If I found out that I could only pick one restaurant and every other restaurant I went to, the food would be food poisoned and I would die, I would do a little research before I picked what restaurant I'm going to go to lunch at, right? But people are betting their souls every day.
Well, but what happens is, and I don't 100% agree with this, but what happens is a person goes to a restaurant and they like the food at that restaurant and they get fulfillment from that restaurant. And for some people, like I said, I don't 100% agree with this. Some people feel like I don't want to go to another restaurant.
But there's no eternal damnation at the end of that restaurant.
Stay with the restaurant. Okay, I was like, stay with the restaurant, man. Don't mess up my analogy. Go ahead.
The analogy doesn't work because you
look, you stop messing with my analogy is fine.
Okay, if you pick the wrong restaurant.
It was your analogy.
Thank you. It was your analogy. You brought up the restaurant.
My analogy is involving doing research, not.
You start talking about a restaurant, Edward.
Yeah, there is a big difference as far as.
Jesus.
My point was, do you trust someone to say that they're right and you're wrong when they don't know anything about the topic except for the one part they know? That's my point. Right?
And what I said
is betting their souls without doing any research.
I agree with you in part, but I was just saying the other side of that. Some people, they find a restaurant that they like and they're like, hey, this is it. So and then on top of that, think about and let's go a little bit further, and Ivory, I'll let you jump in. So if I find a woman that I like, do I need to keep searching for other women to make sure that this is the one for me?
If you pick the wrong one, will you burn it?
I think, man, you know what? I really like it, but I need to fish around some more just to make sure. I need to make sure that I tap.
Polygamy. That's what polygamy's for.
If you pick the wrong one, will you burn in hell? Right? Because that's the problem with religion. You're betting something as big as eternal damnation without doing any research at all. And you all have to admit, if you take everyone you've ever met who has religion, how many of them have researched all the other religions? Most people can't even name 5 other religions, much less an important detail that makes them different.
That's unfair.
It's not unfair. You're betting your soul on it, and these people will tell you you're
but even that. But what in what instance don't we do that? How much do Republicans really know about Democrats? How much do white people know about black people in our culture? How much do men take the time to learn about women?
Make it right though.
I ain't saying this right, but I'm saying that you can follow that pattern in several directions. Ivory, what you about to say?
You can choose to be ignorant if you want to. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, we are in a lot of instances.
I was going to say all of that works if people's relationship with God, whoever they think is God, their spirituality was all logical. But since it's not, those arguments don't work because
Well,
it's
hang on.
not
I got
logical.
one for you. So I got one for you, Ivory.
Okay, I
If it's
wasn't done,
emotional,
but I will listen.
so say it's emotional, right? Your hook into religion has nothing to do with logic whatsoever. You're not
I
even
didn't say it
worried
had
about
nothing
doing
to do with
religion.
logic whatsoever, but go ahead.
Right. So say it's purely based on emotion.
I didn't say that, but okay.
Okay, well, clarify what you are saying. What do you mean?
Let her
Let
finish
me
then.
finish.
Let her finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
So I'm saying there is for people who believe, you're saying emotional, and I understand why you're saying emotional, because if you're not a spiritual person, that's what it's going to appear to be to you.
I
So
used to be
I don't think,
spiritual, for the record. So I've been on both sides of this fence. I only say that because you're talking to me like I have no idea what religious people think. I used to be
okay,
religious,
well,
and
let
now
me
I'm not.
finish my religious point then.
I just throwing that out there.
So for people who consider themselves spiritual, they don't think of it as being emotional. They think they're actually having a spiritual connection with a higher being, with the one and only God or the gods or whatever. I ain't gonna just talk for myself. So for that, if you think something outside of yourself is connecting with you and somebody tell you, oh yeah, you're being emotional, or yeah, you dug within yourself to find that, of course we're not gonna agree because that's not how we feel about it. And so then there are some logical things that go into walking out a religion, but it's not all logical. A lot of it for us is spiritual. So the argument works if you're talking about all logic. But of course, spiritual people don't see this as all logic. So it just doesn't work.
So let me ask you a question because I totally understand what you're saying. There is also emotional logic, right? You can follow, if you feel this way, you can say you should react this way. So there's still a logic to things. It doesn't mean it's mathematical or scientific. But if you are very religious and you feel this connection to God, and you had the opportunity to find out if God is real, the thing that you've been talking to all this time, what gave you all that strength, if you had the opportunity to find out if he's real and actually get to speak to him directly, and you know you're going to actually, like, this is a true opportunity to find out if your faith is real. From that spiritual side of it, that emotional side of it, that deep connection, you wouldn't want to do that?
Well, the question from the post is stupid. Of course you would. It's just the question is stupid. You would have to give up your religion to find out. Like, it's just a stupid question. But to answer what you just said without the context of the stupid question from the post, of course.
Well, here's the other problem, though, is it's not really stupid because it's true.
It is
Well, hang
leading.
on.
It's a stupid
It's an
question. But
assuming
what you
statement.
just said, Edward, is not stupid. Of course. Like, I
Right.
already feel connected to God. I already feel throughout whatever years I've been on this journey with him that I've been getting to know him, and that he's been telling me the truth of the universe and about myself. And so, yeah, if somebody said, yeah, you can go sit down with him and learn some more, of course I would say yes, because I'm already on that journey. That's how I feel. So, yeah, I would be all down for that. But somebody says, oh, you get to go talk to God and learn the truth, but whatever you thought was happening, no, well, I don't trust the person you telling me I'm sitting down with might not be God then. Well, listen, I'm real skeptical. That whole post is some real skeptical stuff. But what you just said, Edward, is makes sense. Yes, of course. Who wouldn't want to sit down with God and learn it all?
Do you think,
Who
and
wouldn't?
The post
this
is
question
leading and
specifically for
assuming.
you, Ivory. So do you think, with your specific religious beliefs, do you think if you found out, like, say you chose to do it, you talk to God and you find out it's all true, do you think giving up the religious part of it, because it wouldn't change your morals, it wouldn't change your connection, because if it's true, a fact is just a fact, right? Gravity's still going to be there, whether I believe in gravity or not, and whether I follow practices or not, gravity's still there. So if God was real and all the stuff was real, do you think that the religious details outside of the morals which exist without the religion, do you think those details would keep him from letting you come to heaven?
Give me an example of a religious detail.
Well, because anything other, a religious detail has to be something that doesn't exist outside of that religion, right? So the morals part, don't kill, don't steal, those
Right.
exist
That's
without
everybody.
religion.
Yeah.
So a religious detail would be something like you got to go to church, or you got to, I don't know,
Communion, take communion.
yeah, you got to take communion. You got to accept Jesus Christ as your savior. Those specifics are outside of morals because morals exist with or without it. Do you think those details, if you found out God was real, if you had, and I gave this question to Q earlier, if you had lived that perfect life minus those details, like you'd never seen a Bible, you'd never even heard English or anything like that, but you lived all the moral portions of it correctly, do you think you would not get into heaven because of those details, like accepting Jesus Christ? Because that's usually the biggest loophole I hear.
So now, and this is my understanding from the Bible, because I'm a pretty basic Bible Christian. But even my understanding from the Bible is, like I said, I feel like I have a connection with God where he actually speaks to me. My understanding from the Bible is that is something that, like saying that Jesus is the only way, that's something that God has to speak to you internally. And if he never speaks that to you internally, then he will judge you on different criteria than that. That's the Bible, actually. That's what it says in the Bible. So I don't go around saying who's going to heaven or hell because I'm not privy to your internal conversations with God. So I do believe in Jesus. I do believe he's the way to heaven, but I don't know if God's told you that inside. And so, and if he hasn't, he's going to use a different criteria to judge you with. So yeah, I don't espouse to everybody's going to hell who hasn't accepted Jesus Christ. But you know, if you heard the message of Jesus Christ, it resonated with you, and you just said no anyway. But I don't know that. Only you know.
So for you personally, you don't think the religious details would make any difference. So you'd be able to give up the religious part of it because
That's
if
not
God
what
is
I just
real.
said, but I know what you're trying to
Well, no,
say.
I'm asking. Yeah, I'm asking. Is what I'm saying? Does that make sense to it? So in theory, you would be able to give up your religion. You would be able to talk to God, find out it's all true, and you'd still be able to go to heaven without the religious parts because he personally never told you you have to accept Jesus, right? You're just
Right,
like,
but I'm saying he personally told me I had to accept Jesus, so I couldn't give up the religious part because that's what I was told. So I know that that's what happened for me. I can't tell you that's what's happened for you. Does that make
that's
sense?
see, that's what I was talking about earlier. Each individual can only answer this question because it's very specific on what it means
Right.
to
So
you.
I can tell you for me, like Jesus is my way to heaven. I can't tell you that for you because only you know if you've had a moment where someone's told you about that and it resonated with you in a way that said that's real. But I know that happened for me. So I couldn't give up that detail because that's happened for me.
Don't mind me, I'm still working, so I'm trying to like
Yeah, no
answer work
problem.
questions while we're doing this.
So, Ivory, how do you answer that question? I mean, I know you said it's a stupid question, but
Nick, it's a stupid question.
would you give up religion to learn if it was your religion was accurate or
Well,
not?
let me pull out of the question just in a more way that's more logical to me than the question. I think it's every Christian's job to lose their religion for their faith.
Hmm. Okay.
I think the closer you get to God, like you will find out how serious he is about love, and anything in your religion that's not pointing that direction, you will start eliminating religious things that don't fit. So I can't
That's you.
answer the what, huh?
Everybody don't do that, but yeah, that's you.
Oh, love will lead the way now. Love
Mm,
and
I
and love.
disagree. You speaking personally,
What do you mean?
there's a lot of people who stick heavily to religion
I know,
despite what
I
um
know.
relationship tells them.
But this is the problem,
What do
and
you
that's why I
mean?
said because even if you read the Bible, you will see that Jesus came and he was asking very religious people to give up their religion for him.
That is true.
I am the truth. Give up your religion and follow me, the truth.
Oh, you preaching now.
And so
Is that give up your other religion for Christianity, or just give up all religion?
So he was telling the Jewish people at the time who were following very strict Jewish laws.
Right. Okay.
To
That is true.
give it up. Give up everything they've been doing. Everything they were taught was true. And I am the truth. I have been between the lines of everything you've been taught. So give that up and follow me. And they couldn't do it. So I'm saying pulling away from this question and not just like give up your religion like that. I think we all need to question just the kind of tedious practices we do, and make sure it's in line with the true line of love that God is asking from us. So
you know the funniest thing, Ivory? Let me tell you this.
What?
The Matrix was a direct analogy of it was a call to salvation. Think about this.
Okay.
Remember when he first met Morpheus?
Okay.
And he told him everything that happened. And how the machines came and the earth got scared. And he gave them all the information. And he was like, it's only so much I can show you, or it's only so much I can tell you, but you have to make a choice. That's what the red pill, blue pill was nothing but a call to salvation. And and this is where people get it mixed up and messed up, and this is why there's a disconnect. You're privy to only so much information, but until you accept that pill, you can't really see the other side of what's really real. That's what it was.
I see that. Now that you said it, I see.
That's what it was. And once he made a choice and accepted, then he was able to see the other side and the world for what it really was. Everything else I could just tell you, but you can't really experience it. You won't be a part of it. That's all. Man, look, the Matrix is the Bible. I'm telling you, it's so much. That's all it is.
You keep saying that.
And I have so many analogies I can break down to that. And I seen Edward was dressed like Neo a second ago. He ready for this new movie to come out.
He had on the Neo fit.
He love watching when he come back. He dressed like, there you go.
I can hear you.
He dressed like Neo.
So to just in that way, I think the question is interesting because I actually think, like I said, it's something that all of us need to challenge ourselves to do anyway. I know church people don't like that. I know.
Yeah,
I know. That ain't the nice church thing to say.
All right, so we got we got about 20 minutes left. Is we done talking about this? We got something else to talk about.
No, I like it. I see Kevin in the damn comments, but he sure didn't jump in this conversation.
Look, man, Kevin, thank you for the post, Kevin. That's we ain't gonna make you. We know you gonna jump on one day when it's your time, when you feel like it.
Right. Right.
But yeah, good conversation. I felt the statement itself was leading. It was based off of a pre-assumption that something is wrong with your religion.
See, and I don't
really see that. Yeah,
I didn't think that.
Why would you have to give it up in order to know the truth about it?
Because the question,
you want to know.
It's not a leading question as much as, do you think it's worth it?
You don't leave room for if it's the truth.
You do. What if it's true and you didn't need the religion to get that truth? Because what if you find out God is absolutely real?
What is the truth? What if the truth is you did need the religion?
I was going to say, yeah.
Well, but also, if the truth is that, like we said earlier, the odds are higher that you're following the wrong one than the odds are that you're following the right one.
But okay, but what if it is the odd? What if you hit the lottery?
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
It's a lottery in reverse. Now you lose.
Right. That's the
you
point
hit
of
the
the question.
lottery on this one. You was doing the right thing, and now you can't do it no more.
Right. That's the point of the question. It isn't trying to assume that it's good or bad. It's saying, do you think it would be worth the risk to find out? So it is a very personal question. And that's why it's so thought-provoking, because it really is like, wow, that's a big gamble. Do you think it's worth it to find out?
Is it worth the risk? All right, so now that's maybe the first time the question is more clear. Is it worth the risk to know versus believe?
Exactly.
Because that's religion, faith, and it's a belief.
It's belief
versus actually knowing.
I'm okay with my belief.
And that's the thing, is that because that is going to depend on who you are. Because depending on how seriously you take it, your belief, if you think you're right and you're really solid on thinking you're right, then you don't think it's a risk at all.
It is. No, it's not just about thinking you're right. It's for people, maybe someone like hold on, maybe someone like Ivory or myself or someone else who actually enjoys the fruits of that practice. Their day-to-day life, they have fulfillment. They're one with themselves. Why?
That's the same thing as what I'm saying, as far as
to potentially give up something when it actually works for me and I love it the way that it is.
Right, I'm agreeing with you. By the way.
How would that be worth it?
Okay. Yeah, so I'm agreeing with you. I may have worded it a little weird, but you're so confident that this is right for you that knowing doesn't matter. So that's what I mean by it's not a risk. You don't care because you're so strong in this is the part of it that matters to me. Knowing 100% for sure isn't that no longer really matters. Whereas if you're somebody like myself, I'm just so freaking curious, right? I'm one of those people, like, I will risk. But that would be easy
to say on the outside because you're not currently invested in it.
No,
that's easy for you.
I'm as invested in it as anyone if the answer is a certain way. Because if I find out,
because you don't actively practice any form of religion in order to sustain your life.
I personally don't, but that's because I have a very strange outlook on it. My personal opinion is...
But that's what I'm saying. It would be easy for you to say that.
Yeah, but I would still want to know. Like, I would totally risk it to find out. But in my
opinion... What would you be risking, though? You wouldn't be risking anything.
Same thing for the person who's 100% positive that it's
all real. Let's go this way.
They're not actually risking anything either.
Trust me, this is off subject, but it follows the same line. Edward, Ivory, Nikki, I'm going to ask you this. You got 10 boxes. 10 boxes.
Okay.
9 of those boxes, there's $1 million in it. But on the 10th box, if you hit the wrong box, that 1 out of 10, you lose your children, you lose your spouse, you lose everything that you love. Would it be worth it for you?
No.
See, and that's the thing.
We're talking about odds. We're talking about the odds. You got a 90% chance of
here's
making yourself well off. Go ahead.
Well, here's the difference, Q. No one has ever asked somebody, do you believe your wife and your family and your house are real? That's not a question. So religion,
this is where it makes sense. This is where I know. Don't go that far into the weeds. Don't go that far into the weeds. This is what I'm saying.
For
Ivory, hold on. Let me say it like this. For Ivory, or for anyone who they love their children, they love their family, they love the way that their life is right now. No, that's just like no, not worth it, not even a little bit. For someone who hold on. Let me follow me. For someone who has no children, For someone who has no children, they're not happy with their life. They have no spouse. They're not, financially where they want to be. They probably say what it is for them to lose seems much lesser than someone who is happy with where they are. Now the parallel with that is when we talked about a religion. If you're happy, you're fulfilled, you're one with yourself, and you good with where you are, why would you risk knowing with the chance that you'd have to give it up. It's not worth it. That's what I'm saying. And so hold on, last thing, and I'll let you jump in. The reason I'm going back to the reason that it's easy for you to say that is because you're not currently invested in any type of belief system like she is, that she says she gets fulfillment from.
Okay, here's the problem with that analogy. You're saying,
Jesus.
so if I'm willing to bet my wife and my kids, that's something I have in hand right now. That would be the same thing as you're in heaven. Will you risk going to hell? No. Religion, though, is something you might get.
Ivory I could
No,
argue Ivory feels that
no,
she's
but
in
see,
heaven.
you-
Ivory's in heaven. Like she's on the
I was gonna
pathway of
say
where she
that
wants to go.
even the example about religion, and I think Quentin said this earlier, it depends on how you practice religion. Yes, there's a lot of people who just do it like, okay, yeah, I want to go to heaven. Like, I don't have a relationship with God just because I want to go to heaven. Like, I feel like we have a very fulfilling relationship right here on earth. And so for
I have to ask,
Edward, it's tangible for me.
do
Like,
you believe?
my life is defined by my
I
faith
get
in
that.
God.
That's not my question. So my question for you, Ivory, is because I got that part. You're very content. But the question is, do you believe in eternal damnation if you do fuck this up?
I
Like,
believe,
do you believe in hell?
yeah, definitely. I believe in hell.
Okay, so if you believe in hell, that's completely different from will you lose what you have right now? You could be very happy with what you have right now. But if you ask that question and you find out you're following the wrong path, you are risking going to hell for eternity. No one's saying you'll lose what you have right now. You'll still have what you have right now as far as the way your life is in general. But whether you're religious or not, if the answer to this question is it goes a certain way, there's a 50-50 shot that I could go to hell for forever because I'm following the wrong kind of thought pattern, right? So I'm just as invested in this concept as anyone else, because if it is
People
real,
with real faith don't operate with that type of fear.
you
No,
So why would
I
you
don't
even
at all.
attach that fear to yourself when
if
you
you believe
already
hell is
are
real,
some?
here's my question. If you believe hell is real, why wouldn't you follow that
Because
fear?
she also believes she's not going.
I don't think I'm going to hell, so I don't walk around with fear of hell.
See,
And
that's
I
what I
don't
was
believe
talking
I'm
about.
going
You're
to hell.
100% certain. Oh, I got it.
So
It's interesting.
interesting.
And listen, the way religion is taught, that people do talk about people being in fear of hell. Even people who are in the religion need to still be in fear of hell. So I understand how people get there, but that ain't how it's supposed to be.
Okay. Well, look, I ain't got no more words. We finished. We're done.
Oh God! Hey, yes, we can be finishing. I guess it's only 5 minutes. Did you see the post that I put with the guy talking about his wife cheating?
I saw like the first 2 minutes of it. I didn't finish. What was the last part of what he said? Give me
You
a
know
rundown
what?
on it.
By the time he got to the end, it didn't sound like him and his wife were still together. But he was saying his mom was like old school and was like, "You better not leave your wife. Like, y'all got kids. You need to stay."
Oh, was that the one where the mom convinced him or something?
Yeah, I was convincing him he needed to stay.
And I only read it briefly. What happened? Wife cheated?
Yeah, so he was. His whole setup was weird to me because he kept saying like, "Oh, before we got married."
He seemed kind of soft in the first place.
No, he wasn't. He didn't seem soft to me, but he
He
was
seemed
saying,
soft to me.
okay, whatever. He was saying before we got married, like I was kind of on my own thing, and I didn't really care what
Yeah.
she did. I didn't want her to care what I did, and so if
And
she
my
had
whole
just
thing
went
is if
ahead,
you ain't married, then you single.
so like if she had went ahead and just cheated on me before we got married, it would have been cool. Like I just don't understand why she had to wait until we got married to cheat. Like
Yeah,
I wasn't like committed like that until we got married, and then she waited until I'm putting all my energy into this family to cheat on me. So he was like, I was devastated because I had went ahead and gave her and the family all my energy.
What is the topic now? I missed something.
Yeah, we have moved
Yeah,
on
you
to
gotta
this
go
other
back
topic.
on the
It's about a guy talking about
His
getting cheated
mom had
on.
to convince him to stay with her.
And mom was like, because he was like, he didn't think he could get over it. And mom was like, no, y'all have kids now, and you need to
mm-hmm.
stay for those kids.
I would never encourage
I
my
agree.
children to stay in a relationship where their partner is cheating and they no longer like if your child says, I don't know if I can get over this, I would never encourage my child to be. The children suffer at the end of the day because you have parents who really don't want to
No.
be with each other. You have parents
So,
who
I
are
don't agree with that.
well, hang on.
Just
How
because
old,
your
I don't
little
know.
pride and your feelings hurt, I don't think that's the reason.
how old are these kids that we're talking about? Because kids, if they're under, before they learn how to speak, right? You get 85% of all your morals and values before you know how to talk. Because you don't have the mental ability to interpret what's right or wrong. You just take it in as in, this is how it is. So if they're young kids, they're learning. So say you have a young daughter who's 4 years old. She's watching you two fight and everything like that. In her head, she's going to think this is how women let men
This
treat
is
them.
normal.
Yeah,
No.
this is normal. And they have to
Yes,
learn.
it is. That's exactly how that happens.
That's a psychological fact. And
You
even,
teach your
that's
The
even
kids
children
didn't
what's
see the
normal and
mama
what you
sleeping with
allow.
the man. The kids
She
didn't see the
didn't.
mama
Yeah,
sleeping with the
no,
man.
not at all.
But the
It's all,
the husband
yeah,
doesn't trust
no,
his wife.
I don't
The
know.
So,
husband doesn't
So
trust his
okay,
wife. That doesn't go away.
so
That
wait,
energy, absolutely.
I'm gonna let y'all finish, but I want to say my point on this. And there have been studies done. I have talked to people, so I'm gonna tell y'all what I think. A lot of times, I hear people say, "If I'm happier, my kids will be happier," or if I'm in a situation in this relationship and I'm not happy anymore, or they're not happy anymore, then that'll just rub off on the kids and they won't be happy. But in most circumstances,
cop
unless
out.
there's abuse,
Right.
and abuse can be different type of abuse, right? Physical abuse, verbal abuse, those are bad situations. Children don't want to be in those situations. I agree with that. But
Right.
just regular old fussing and fighting, or you just being unhappy, kids could care less. They
I
want their
disagree.
parents. No, no,
I
no. Let me
thoroughly
finish.
disagree.
Let me
let me
finish.
rephrase my
Let me
version.
finish.
Okay, I see where you're
Children
going, and
want
I agree with
to
you.
be in the same house with both of their parents. It is high on their list of priorities. And I keep hearing adults try to make it low on children's list of priorities when it's not low. It's
Okay,
very high. And
I
unless there's
agree with you.
abuse, it's staying high. Kids want their parents together.
I
Kids want
agree.
their parents together and happy.
Let me
No, they
give you.
don't care if you're happy. They just want
They
you to
do when
play
they get
rough
older
and
and
go to the
realize that your
house.
parent. You do when you get older and realize your parents lied. And your
Right.
mom has resentments. Your dad has
You're
resentments.
both
You have
right.
an energy. You have an energy that's not healthy. You have an energy that's not love. You have an energy that's not mutual adoration or
Let me jump in.
communication. Edward, hold on. You have an environment in which your children are raised where they don't see healthy, genuine love. They don't see how a man's supposed to treat the woman, how the woman's supposed to treat the man. They see two people who are literally only together because of the kids. And most kids who have come from those homes will tell you, I wish my mom would have left. I wish my dad would have left. I would have rather been raised by a single parent and that parent been happy and healthy
That's not what
and
I hear from people.
respected.
You're both right, depending on the age range that you do the study on. Because yes, Ivor, you're right. Those studies have been shown younger children outrank a huge percentage of young children will say, I just want them both in the house. And then that number flip flops exactly the opposite way as soon as they're over, say, 16. As soon as they actually recognize the value of
Mm-hmm.
what an individual goes through. Because young kids don't understand that your mom and dad are actual people who deserve happiness. They're just functionaries. You're here
Right.
to feed me and pay attention to me. Those kids all say, I don't care if mom and dad's happy. I want them both in the house. But they've also done the studies. They're not mentally developed enough to recognize that their parents deserve happiness. Like that's not a concept yet. But you do that exact same study for kids that are 16 and over. They understand every individual has a right to like be happy and such, and they're just starting to understand the idea
Well,
that
stay
mom is
together
a
till they
person.
16 then.
Oh no. Oh no.
Based
That
on
sounds
your
like
logic, then okay.
that
Let's put them
sounds
to stay
like
together till
that
they
sounds
bring up and
like
understand.
that's crazy. That sounds like
Amen
old
until they
school
bring and
logic.
understand. I'm
That's old
so
school
old
logic.
school.
Studies.
I'm
Right. But how
so
many
old
women
school when
sat
it comes
around
to
and how many
kids.
women sat around knowing that their men were cheating, had
Um,
multiple wives and multiple families, and those women were not taken care of the way they should have been taken care of.
when it
Like,
comes to children, I am so old school. I mean,
so
super
so you
old
would
school.
tell your daughter to stay with the man who cheats on her just because that's what you're supposed
If
to
that's
do?
what, if
Hell no.
listen, first off, I'm going to teach my daughter about mate selection.
Right, but you can't. But that don't. She can do all those things
No, no,
perfectly, and that
no.
man
Yeah,
still could be
because
that
it's two
man.
type of cheaters: the type that just cheat, and then the situational cheater. So yeah, if her husband cheated on her as a situational cheater, not a chronic cheater, but if you got a chronic cheater, you knew you had him before you married him. So that's a whole nother thing. But no, I'm not gonna tell her to break up her family. That destroys
She
kids.
didn't. He did.
And
She
I
didn't. He did.
that.
Why is
And
she responsible for his his
This is
misdeeds?
who you chose. This
so
is who
this
you
is the other
chose to
half of
have
it, I agree.
children with.
Right, but
And
she didn't choose to have an unfaithful man.
she could
He
have.
made that choice.
No,
And
you entered
we've done the
into a
studies.
relationship with another human being who is flawed, and you
Right.
decided to have children with them. And
But
now we
how
have
you
to make
decide,
choices that benefit our children.
Ivory, my earlier point was you may not recognize it, but subconsciously, how they're choosing who to be a mate with is going to be based off of what they think men are supposed to be. So you can tell them all this stuff. That's why there's so many people in abusive relationships over and over again, because they just don't know how to pick somebody who's not like that, because they grew up seeing the way that men treat women is crappy. They're not consciously thinking that, but in the back of their head, they don't notice it as bad behavior because mom put up with it and she always pretended to be happy. It's not overt abuse, but an abusive kind of person gets more abusive over time. They will naturally pick something that resembles.
I clarified in the beginning I wasn't talking about abusive relationships.
Right, you were talking about like they just argue and stuff like that,
They
right?
just argue or somebody
Right.
cheated on somebody.
lots
That's
of
not.
people
I'm not
who
talking
argue-
about abusive relationships. I
Right,
know
but what
children
I
aren't
meant was-
happy in abusive
never mind.
relationships. I know that.
Right, but those studies show that the young kids that you stay together for the kids, those kids grow up thinking that arguguing and stuff like that is normal. So they get in relationships with people like that, and then it develops into worse. They think.
No, that's
Well,
not
you think people should divorce because they can't stop arguing?
Well,
no.
if you're so
If they're arguing about cheating, if they're arguing about infidelity and trust and mistrust and
details, of course, if you're constantly arguing and the problem never fixes itself, right? Then your partner doesn't listen to you, and your partner doesn't care what you think. If you're constantly arguing over the same thing,
they don't respect you.
because there's a
I
difference
mean, listen.
between a fight
I'm
and you're
gonna
people
tell
always
to
y'all.
fighting
argue.
the
Listen,
same thing.
I hear you, but my understanding of marriage and longevity and being married forever, if that's what you say you want to do, you take some vows and say we're gonna stick this out for life. Unless it's abusive, then you stick it out. I have hitched my wagon to this flawed human being, and
that's
that
your
might
choice.
mean that we might argue some years. We might have some things we can't figure out for long periods of time. Somebody
age
might cheat on
demographic?
somebody.
Do
But
you know what
I've
age
hitched
demographic has the
myself.
highest divorce rate?
We've hitched each other to, and I've had children with you. I've had children with you, and I'm going to make sure these children wake up, if possible for me, and see you every day. I think that's important.
Yeah, and that's your choice to make. Not everybody feels that way, and the
No,
highest
they
demographic
don't
right now
feel
in
that
divorce.
way. That's why I'm giving my opinion.
Yeah, the highest number of people getting divorced right now in America are 65 and older, because they actually spent forever with somebody because they thought they had to.
That's
And they're finally seeing
stupid.
social acceptance.
That is so dumb.
What?
You wait till you get 65 to divorce somebody.
It is true. Look it up.
Some
Nobody
people
wants
would, but some people would
Nobody
rather.
wants a raggedy butt no more.
It's true.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know, but I'm just saying I don't think it's
Yeah,
smart.
because they thought, and they did the studies and the surveys. They asked these people, like, what's the number one cause of divorce? They thought they had to stay with this person because of
By
moral.
the time you get
religion and all that kind of
65,
stuff.
you just need to go ahead and stay with them.
Yeah,
They
thought-
may not be looking for happiness, though. They may be looking for the rest of whatever little life they have left to be harmonious, to be peaceful, to be what they had hoped to have gotten the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years of being married to their partner. Like, I don't want to die alone either, but I do not want to die with somebody I don't fucking love and don't respect.
Yeah.
I would be by myself before I be with somebody who disrespects me. I don't give a damn what tenant we signed. No, we came into this with the same understanding. We're going to work this out. That does not give you permission to go cheat. And I'm not going to raise my children under a home to think that this is just what you do. And that's just my opinion, of course. But that cheating shit is a whole nother ball game. And then that staying and making it work with somebody, they didn't want to make it work. They cheated on you. They ain't worried about you and them kids. They cheated on you. They weren't worried about your agreements. They cheated on you. And that's cool. That's what counseling is for. But to tell your children you should stay in that environment and make it work, I would never encourage my children to be unhappy if they're truly unhappy. Like, sometimes shit just don't work out.
Me and Quentin had a whole show about this, and I talked about my feelings about just our society and the pedestal we put happiness on. And I'm not saying it's not important to be happy, but sometimes we make it like the end all be all. And like my children's stability is more important than my happiness. Like, but
your children's stability comes from your ability to radiate happiness and healthiness. Healthiness, yes. An unhappy person is not generally a healthy person.
No.
Yes, there's gonna be some misfirings in here somewhere.
That's not a part of it, Nikki. But to make that all of it is not true. Like, stability comes in a lot of forms. Stability financially.
Sure.
Why don't you raise your kids
emotionally, from them having the people around that they're used to? There's a lot of different forms of stability. So to just put my happiness as the primary form of their stability, and I think a lot of people do that. I don't think. Well, for me, it's not the way forward. Like,
you can also raise them that the happiness is based off of self-reliance.
Right.
Your own world stable, so you're not dependent on someone who makes you unhappy to have the stability. Because that's the problem. If you're inferring to your children that you have to have a partner to be stable, then you're actually, whether intentionally or not, you're teaching codependency.
Right.
Versus teaching somebody.
Listen, you done twisted this all in 3 seconds. This is a life you've already created for your children. Nobody's saying you have to infer to your children you have to have a partner for stability. But your children are watching 2 people in the home, 2 people that they love, that they're used to, with a life you've developed for them off of these 2 people that you've gotten them used to. That is their stability. That's their norm. And then you say, I'm unhappy, so I'm going to change your norm because it's going to make me happier.
You're also teaching them, though, Ivory, you're also teaching that kid that if their norm in the future is unhappy, they have the ability to change it if they feel they need to. Versus teaching them, you just stick with what sucks just so that you can pay the bills.
Or what if I'm teaching them you stick with things you committed to even when they suck until they don't suck anymore? Is that ever a possibility?
Well, yeah, of course. We're assuming you tried those things first.
Well,
but if you can't fix the problem.
People say, oh, you cheated, I'm gone. Oh, we've been fighting for a year, this is over. Oh, we've been fighting for 2 years, this is over. I'm saying in a marriage that you're supposed to have for 50 years, who cares if you fight for 2 years?
But you shouldn't be fighting for... Yeah, I mean, assuming that those things obviously were ironed out before you got married, right? Couples fighting for 2 years. Listen, I grew up in a house full of people who fought constantly. That affects you as a child, and
we already established physical and
no, I'm talking about just verbal. I'm talking about just verbal altercation. We're not even talking about physical. I'm just talking about people who are verbally, confrontational and fighting with each other and bickering with each other and have a discord with each other for whatever the reason may be. To think that does not rub off onto your children, we are inadvertently teaching them, like you said, perfect word, and we're teaching them to be codependent. Well, we just stay. And back in the day, yeah, we had to just stay because we didn't have options. We didn't have ways to heal ourselves because we were hurt. But children who generally come from homes where mothers just stayed end up growing up to be the women who just stay, or who don't seek something in a partner that is going to be quality to where I don't have to worry about you cheating, or I don't have to worry about
That goes on the flip side too, though, Nikki. People who in a relationship, if you've been divorced 2 or 3 times, then it also gives the impression, as soon as I'm not happy, if I don't get
I
that
can
warm,
leave.
bubbly feeling
Nah,
inside,
yeah,
then I'm out of here. I'm gone.
I'm sorry, but if you've been divorced 2 or 3 times, you're the fucking problem. You need to stop getting into relationships. You need to go
That's
figure
not the
out why you
Nikki.
keep getting divorced.
Not
You're
my
the
point I just
problem.
made. That has nothing to do with the point I just made.
It
My
goes back
point
to
is,
healthy choices. It goes
do you
back to making healthy relationship
you didn't
choices.
hear
If
what I
you
just
can,
said? Do you know what I
yes,
just said that for? I talked about that being reflective to your children. Is that the pattern that you want to set to your children? Whether you are a crappy human being or not, that wasn't my point. My point is you keep breaking up divorce, and then it also leaves the impression that as soon as your children can feel, as soon as I'm not happy or I'm not feeling great about myself in this relationship, then I just leave and remove from the situation. And
right.
those are the same type of people also who every time their
Feel a
boss
little
makes them
unhappy, they
mad
quit.
and they get upset, then they quit their job every 5 months because
And
anytime I'm
those
not feeling it,
are
then I'm
not
gone.
healthy people, period. They're not healthy by
And
default.
part of that unhealthiness can also go to the example that is set by the parents.
Yes, it can
I'm
be.
saying when people quit on their marriages for reasons not of abuse, you are also teaching your children that once a relationship, to your point, Nikki, well, as soon as this relationship is not making me happy, I'm out.
I mean, it's not about a person not being, it's not about this relationship not making me happy. It's about my partner has been lying and has been deceptive and has been cheating and has been manipulative and has been sneaky and has been all of those things. That's not, my partner's just not making me happy because they didn't buy me flowers on my birthday. We're talking about like absolute breaking of all of the vows that we both agreed to take. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to leave in that type of situation. There's a lot of relationships that do get into counseling and their
And
relationships
they
get
survive those
stronger because of those
situations.
things. And that's a beautiful situation. We're talking about children who grow up in the home where the parent just stays because they feel like it's going to be better for the kid, when at the end of the day, where'd we go?
I can still hear you.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, it froze up. When at the end of the day, you've got an energy between those two adults that is not harmonious, that is not healthy, that is not positive, that is not, something that those children pick up on, that energy of there's a discord, something going on with my mama, something going on with my daddy, and then when they find out when they're 16, 18, 20, 25, 30 years old, all the secrets that their mom and dad kept in the closet, and the kids are like, I fucking knew it. I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Nobody wants to be lied to. And as the person who's not cheating, we can't be responsible for our partner's infidelity. We can work through it if we choose to, if it feels as though, we're going to be able to get back on track and we're going to be able to be better from this incident. But to just stay.
Well, this is why I prefaced in the beginning. If you are with a chronic cheater, somebody who cheats because the wind blew south today, like that's just what they do. You knew that before you married them, because chronic cheaters don't just start cheating on you once you get married.
Well, but
Chronic,
manipulative people are very
yeah, a
fucking good
chronic
at it,
cheater has
though.
cheated unless y'all got married in 6 months.
Right, real quick.
If y'all, and then you set yourself up for manipulation if you get married that fast.
True.
But if you dated some years and and this person is a chronic cheater, they've cheated on you before, so you already knew they were a chronic cheater before you married them. And to me, still, you made a choice to have children with this person, and you knew they were a cheater.
Mm-hmm.
So even in that, I'm like, children want to be with their parents. Now, I'm not saying be there, be miserable, be bickering and fussing all day. No, I really kind of think you need to suck it up at that point. You chose that. Now, I'm not really talking about those people because I don't really understand them, Nikki. I don't understand why you choose a chronic cheater in the first place. So maybe I just don't have a lot of, what is it called? Sympathy, empathy for people who choose chronic cheaters.
Right.
I'm talking about situational cheaters, and anybody can be a situational cheater. I think we all have the propensity to do it, not that we all will. What is a situational cheater? Somebody dies, you lose your job, y'all are into it. Somebody ain't feeling you for a year or two. They don't want to sleep with you.
You get fat. self-esteem. Maybe not you, but sometimes when people get fat and they feel like they ugly and
Right,
they
they get really
become
insecure,
right.
and so
Insecurities come.
it's a
You
lot of
susceptible
reasons.
to
There's a lot of
This is
situational
where you
reasons.
have relationship breakdown. All of these things have to be worked on during this time before the shit hits the fan. Like
That's
there's a,
idea, Nikki. That's idea.
right, but this is what you sign up for if you say you finna get married. You supposed to work these things out. Cheating is not the alternative
So
to
when
our
you say work
problems.
these things out, you don't really mean that if you like, oh, you cheat, then you're done. You're
No,
done.
if you've
I'm finished.
cheated, you no, if
So
you've
you don't really
cheated,
mean. So you don't really mean work these
if
things
nah,
out.
because you weren't trying to work shit out before you went and fucked around on me. You
Okay,
broke
so
it. You
you
broke
not
it.
actually talking about working it
What?
out. You
Who's
talking about
clicking? No, you work it out before you get to fucking around on somebody. You don't just get to fuck around on somebody and then be like, oh well, I want to work it out now. Nah, bruh. You should have tried to work it out with me before you decided to do that. That's my choice. That's just
sure,
that's
absolutely.
I'm because I can't be with somebody I don't trust. Once it's gone, it's gone. I'm not gonna be raising my kids wondering if they daddy stayed out a little bit too late and was with the little church girl a little too long and was over here at the after hours a little bit too long. I'm not gonna do all that. I'm not gonna do all that. I'm not gonna put myself in that position as a woman, as a mother, as a caretaker, as a provider, as an
So
educator, as a mentor, to put myself in all that
but
stress and strain. I ain't got to.
that's the difference between what you're saying and Ivory saying. You saying I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, and Ivory's talking about the children and the
I'm
effect
not
that is
gonna
going to
allow
have
them
on
to
them.
be. I'm not gonna allow them to be exposed to that. I want my children to grow
I'm
up.
gonna be true.
I
It
want my
sounds
children
like
to
it's
grow up
it
If you
sounds like it's
expose
more
it.
about you than actually about the children.
because ultimately what I do affects my children. Ultimately, what I teach my children is gonna come
But
from
it's still
me.
more about you because it's the
Because I
children
teach my
may or may
children.
not
I
know
am my children's guide. I am my children's mentor. I am the
I
one
get
that
that.
sets the example. I walk what I walk. I talk what I talk. I can't say one thing and do another. They see that shit. Kids are
Again,
intelligent.
I got that. It sounds like it's more about you than it is about the
It's
children.
not. Because if it was about me, I'd stay and be fucking miserable so I can have this man by me. But it's not about me. It's about my children knowing there's an acceptable way and there's an unacceptable way. And they can decide for themselves whenever they get older what they choose to do with their partner. But I'm not going to stay with somebody because I need a man. No. There's so many different ways that we can rectify our problems way before cheating has to happen. And
Sure.
if you choose to not come to me as your partner and rectify some of these issues that we have, and you decide to cheat, that's your choice.
What
Sure.
if it's
My
not?
choice is
And
It's not
Nikki, I
about
don't
staying with somebody because you need a man. What if it's staying with somebody because your kids need a father?
they can have him whenever he wants them, all day, every day. They go stay with him if they want to, but
I
not.
don't
But
know that that works that way.
but to create an environment in which is unhealthy, no, no, no. And that's why people shouldn't just have children with every damn body. That's why people should know who they're with before
I
they,
agree with
one,
that.
get married, two, have kids. Like you got to do all those things first before you decide to lay down with somebody and have a
Well,
baby.
my only issue, and listen, you have anybody has the right to have that feeling or to examine or explore that option. I think um when that's your first and only action or response, especially when you have children involved, I think if you decide to get into a marriage, let's go back to what Edward talked about, the statistics. Statistically, half of all relationships, somebody will cheat. That's statistics. So, what would that say about the person who chooses to get married knowing the statistics? That there's a good chance that over the course of the lifetime of the relationship, there's at least a 50% chance that one person will step out with infidelity. Why get married? If that's the case, you should never, anybody who takes that stance should never ever get married, no matter how much they love a person, because the statistics itself doesn't support that being a good idea.
You get married. I don't think that I don't think that people genuinely get married thinking, oh, my partner's going to cheat one day.
You should though.
You should
Statistically,
not.
you got
You
one
should
in 2
not.
chance.
You
have a
You
should.
one
should
You
in
should
not,
just
because
say
two
baby,
chance.
about
you best believe
yes,
I'm the
you
other
should.
50%. Best believe I'm the other
No,
50%.
Nikki.
I don't cheat.
You
You
I
don't
should.
don't
have
cheat.
50%.
I
You
don't cheat, and
that don't mean your
I don't
partner
deal with
the other
cheaters.
50%. That don't mean you
That's
think there's
right.
the other
Consider that
50%.
that's something that could happen.
No,
That's
I should
reasonable.
not. That's like me
Yes.
saying I should expect that
Listen,
one day
now
he gonna pop me
see, hold
across
on.
my face. One
Now
day
we
he
talk
gonna steal
about
my money out my purse. One day he gonna like
that's
no.
not
And
using
if I have
logic.
to think,
That's not
that
using
is, it's
logic.
the same thing. If I have to think about my
Nah,
partner
it's
like
not.
that, then that's not gonna be my partner.
If you ignore numbers, then that's not using logic.
Numbers only what
You got it right. You got it.
numbers is only what's recorded. Numbers is only what is submitted.
So
No, no,
you think those numbers are incorrect? You mean to tell me you don't think half of relationships will, in the course of the relationship, will have some type of infidelity? You believe that that's just BS that people make up for whatever reason?
I don't know what I believe the statistics are on that, but I don't
Well, you
believe in
just
going
said
in.
numbers is what
Well,
I mean.
because you're
I'm
so
asking
hell
you.
bent on 50%, it could be 40, it could be 90. I don't know. But I do not go into a relationship. I would never go into a marriage thinking, well, he may cheat, so I got to leave this little space over here in the event that he does.
And I
No,
think that's irresponsible not to
be that as it may.
acknowledge the possibility, because if you don't
I'm
acknowledge the
not.
possibility, then you have no plan on working through it
Me
like
and
we
my
talked
husband
about.
had this conversation before we got married. Like, it was important for me because of the numbers that it was not a deal breaker. I have no intentions on ever cheating. We've been married for 10 years. I've never cheated on him. He's never cheated on me. So it's not like we talked about it because we was planning on cheating on each other. But I'm like, hey, trying to be with you forever. Like, I don't have any deal breakers. And I need you to come into this with me with no deal breakers. Like, I need to know you are in it to win it with me, Ivory, the flawed human being, forever. And I'm in it to win it with you, Antoine, the flawed human being, forever. And he was like,
Right.
oh. Now this is weird, Nikki. When I said it to him, he hadn't thought about it. He was like, oh, that's a lot now. You kind of tripping, right? And he was like, give me a second. So he came back to me maybe like a week later, and he was like, I'm in. I'm like, you in, no deal breakers. He was like, I'm in, no deal breakers.
Well, and it's
We
easy
in
to
it
say that,
together
and then
forever.
it's easy to say that till it happens, or if it were to happen. You know, it's easy.
But we
It's easy.
talked
It's
about
easy
it.
to
I'm
say
not saying
that.
it would be easy if it happened. I'm saying the
No, I'm just saying
conversation
it's
was
easy to
important.
say there's no deal breakers until a deal breaker, until something that you didn't anticipate or something that breaks your marriage vows happens, right? And let's hope that never
Is
nothing like that happens. Let's hope never
But
you're
you
put in that
possible,
know, it's
position.
but
one thing if
having the
somebody go in
mindset
saying it's a
of
deal breaker.
What's that?
I said, you know, you don't got a chance when people go in with deal breakers.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having some deal breakers. It's boundaries. People have rules and boundaries about themselves and about they heart and they spirit and what kind of energy they wish to put into or receive out of a relationship with somebody else. And I'm not a leave just because you don't make me happy kind of person. I didn't stay for 16 fucking years because I was happy the whole entire time. But eventually, enough is enough. Some people are only gonna be with a disrespectful partner for so long before I don't have to do this anymore. And the energy in which we create because of our dysfunction is bleeding off onto our children. And some of us raise children to be codependent enablers because that's what we did, as opposed to, like you said, the chronic versus the situational, as opposed to, we had an issue in the marriage, we worked it out, we went to counseling, whatever we did, we worked towards a solution, right? But I also believe that shit has to happen before the infidelity happens. For me, it's after the fact. After the
Okay,
fact,
so
it's a deal breaker for me.
so what has to happen before infidelity? Because my perspective is for one, if you're going into marriage and you're going into a monogamous relationship, you are going into a deal breaker because the deal breaker is infidelity. So for one, you're automatically going into a paradigm that has a deal breaker. So your communication has to be such to where what you're saying before this happens, can you communicate about it? Well, then you have to ask yourself, what is the scenario? Because if you're not thinking about this even being a possibility, you can't go into it having the type of communication to where he knows if at any point in the relationship he gets tempted he has an outlet, and the outlet is you, not his partner, not anybody else. He need to be able to come to you. You have to establish that in the beginning, and that's not monogamy. So how do you establish something that is counterproductive to the actual paradigm? Now, she said, hey, there's no deal breakers. If it's this, if it's this, if it's that, if it's that, that's the type of communication that's going to create that atmosphere to be able to tell the truth. Because in monogamy, there's no atmosphere to be honest with your partner. Because if you're feeling infidelity, how do you go to your wife and tell her that?
Just like that.
That's what
Not when it's a
but that
Just
has to be
like that.
established in the beginning.
I have a
That has
problem.
to be
I
established in the
have a
beginning,
problem.
though.
We have right, but that's all part of the dating
Well, then get the
experience.
F out of
That's
here.
all
Take
part
you
of
and your
the.
That's not a
problem out
part
of
of the
here.
dating
Get out
thing.
of here.
Because when you're dating, you're not practicing. Think about this. Before you hook up with somebody, when you're dating, most people are not practicing being monogamous. They're dating her,
Until you are.
they're dating her. Hold on, listen. They're dating this person, they're dating this person. Then they hook up with somebody that they really like, and then they start trying to practice monogamy because they haven't been practicing being monogamous. They've actually been practicing being poly. They've been poly. Yeah, they've been poly. And now they're trying to force themselves into monogamy. And that's what I'm saying. The communication has to be there prior. But when you're dating someone trying to be monogamous, you're not communicating openly. That's what I'm saying. You're not saying, hey, I was dating this person, I'm dating this person, I'm dating this person. You're presenting the best version of yourself to get a husband or a wife. And that is not honest. So very rarely in our society do you have two people who are coming together honestly.
True.
So you got to drop all of that. No, there's no working it out after. It's got to be worked out before. And worked out before is to be real about what it is. Infidelity is out there. The possibility to cheat is high. Like Clinton said, shit, if they saying 50% of the planes is crashing, I'm not getting on one of them motherfuckers. For what? I'm telling you. I'm going through this shit right now, and there is nobody that can make me marry anybody else again in this construct, because for the woman, the benefit is the man's resources. Because when it comes down to it, hell, he try to leave. Now the money's on the line. But shit, why is it like that? You feel what I'm saying? Why does the man have to be responsible for the wife when they done? Because she can go get another nigga to take care of her. He can't go get nobody to go take care of him. He got to go take care of another fucking woman.
And them kids.
Cheaper to keep her.
Bullshit.
Now you're upholding.
They say it's cheaper to keep her.
Yeah, that's what they say.
No, I agree.
It is cheaper.
Fuck
I ain't
that
saying
bullshit.
it's more peaceful.
Nuh-uh.
But
It
it's
ain't
cheaper.
cheaper to keep nobody.
I'm paying the house note on 2 households right now.
Yes, it's cheaper to just keep her.
It's cheaper to sell all that shit and moonwalk up out that motherfucker, kinfolk. Pop lock and do all that shit.
Cheaper for your emotions, but not your pocketbook.
No, it ain't cheaper for your pockets. Oof.
Fuck that shit, bro. So marriage
Listen,
is.
let me tell you, as a woman, and I know it's some women that's just greasy. They the one who did wrong, and then they still pull that mess.
Still pull that shit.
But let me tell you, as a woman who don't plan on doing no wrong, I done told mine, you let me have all these kids and give you all my good young years, and you think you gonna leave me? Oh, you gonna hurt.
Man, you know how many women I have met while being in an open relationship that were faithful in their 30s and found out in their 40s their husband was cheating. And the majority of the women always said it really wasn't that he was cheating. It was the fact that she spent her 30s when she had plenty of opportunities with young men to do whatever she wanted to do. That's really what she was mad about, that she missed the opportunities.
That's what it sounded like the guy was mad about in that post.
He was mad like I buckled down for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I missed it. I passed Kiki, Shay, all of them. And you did me like this? So, I mean, that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? If you
you made some good points.
Monogamy, you gotta understand what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with anything perfect.
And furthermore, on top of that, I think when I hear the post and I can't speak for everybody, but this may or may not be. When you encounter someone that has this zero tolerance policy and they're emphatic about it, like, nah, I'm done. You ain't never do. One or two things. Number one, either I'm staying away from you, or number two, I might think you fine. I'm gonna try, but I'm not gonna try. I see. I can't be honest with you. I see. I can't be open. If I'm ever dealing with anything, I know not to come to you.
Right. So how do you have the atmosphere to tell the truth?
Right. You've shut down the atmosphere, and that's why even when your partner is angry or upset about something, my partner on very, very rare occasions, I think maybe 2 or 3 times that she's actually been upset, like mad. That's not the time for me to get mad. I sit back, I say, okay, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. This is what do we need to do from here? But what I'm trying to do is I want her, and this even goes for my children as well. I want to make sure that they feel that it's a safe space for them to express themselves when it's okay to get mad and come to me when you get mad. And I'm not going to try to blow back anything that you did to me and blow back up, or I get a bigger attitude than what you. No. Yeah. Now I've destroyed the safe space.
Right.
So now you can, I always want you to feel you can be mad, sad, frustrated, upset, angry, happy, but whatever it is. It's a safe space for you. Bring it to me.
Yeah.
So then, and also I can do that like innocent. Well, I didn't know how you, hey, in what situation have I ever taken something the wrong way or blown up or gotten upset about something? Because a lot of people have past situations where maybe the last partner would respond a certain type of way.
Y'all being nice, because you really, at this point in my life, you can keep all that to yourself. Let your conscience and your God guide you to a whole place. You and him together. Don't come tell me none of that mess.
What are you talking about?
I don't need your honesty. I don't need you unloading your conscience on me. You take.
Oh, you talking about somebody that stepped out?
Huh?
You talking about somebody stepped out?
Yeah, keep you and God.
And I ain't even talking about right. But I'm talking about, so if somebody, if they're thinking about it, hey,
you and God,
ain't nothing happen. Even if ain't nothing happened, you don't want to hear about it.
You and God work that out
amongst
each other.
That's what they doing. They working it out. That's what him. Look, I'm telling you from the male perspective.
What are you for?
I'm telling you from the male perspective.
Accountability. You heard of accountability?
Him and God working it out.
Why you need me?
No, God don't always speak back.
Him and God working it out.
Your homeboy.
They working it out right now.
Go call your homie. What you need?
Homie gonna tell him go get that ass. That's what his partner gonna
tell
him.
That's what I was thinking on the cool. Look, I was thinking on the cool. I'm like, you can't always trust.
I'm trying to tell you real shit.
This is a problem.
I'm trying to tell you real shit. The shit that you don't want to know. Hold on. The shit that you don't want to know is the shit you need to know about your man. And he need to be telling you about it. So, all right, that's cool. Because him and God gonna work it out in the hotel. Because she gonna be saying, oh, no.
Tell you.
Oh, God. Oh, God. That's how they working it out right now. 56% of the time, ain't that right? That's how they working it out right now, cuz, ain't it?
There's another caveat to this. And this, you have to know this as a woman, right? If you have determined, I'm not going anywhere, you have to be very careful about how much you let your man tell you.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, you can't. Transparency has to have limits.
Okay.
Because
I agree. I do agree with that.
I feel you.
Because there is still something about freedom, right? Oh, she ain't leaving, and she know I like homie, and she know. No, you sneak around until you and God figure that out together. No, don't be. No. You keep that sneaking up.
I heard that.
No, you gonna have to creep.
Okay.
Don't come telling me that mess. No, you work it out on the side, in the closet, in the dark. You work that mess out.
That's what's up. You need a podcast.
We got one.
Check out High IQ every Monday, 9 o'clock.
You need your own shit. Okay, I got you. Because that right there.
I really kind of agree with you. I can go both ways on that, though. I don't
It's
mind
a
a
little
person
bit
being
of
transparent
both. I
coming
feel
to
you what
me,
you're saying,
but
but it's
I
a little
do.
bit of both. Like,
Yeah,
because
I'm with
men,
that
we
too.
don't have the best counsel. I'm telling you, we don't have the best counsel.
So this is how I gauge. Number one, you if you ever get caught up, and I'm talking about in a marriage, or look, if you ever get caught up in some stuff, you shouldn't be so sloppy that I can find it or see it or
It ain't the
whatever.
matter of sloppy, bro. If you doing
It is
something you ain't
because once
supposed to be
by the
doing, you
time you
gonna
get,
get
because
caught.
I'm not looking, trust me. So by the time it come to me, then that just means you're so sloppy that it came to my doorstep and I wasn't even trying to. If it come to me, then you really being sloppy because I'm not looking. I ain't looking in no phones. I ain't looking in no Instagram messages, DMs, none of that.
Me
Hey,
either. That's
sloppy.
why I ain't
Hold on.
looking. I ain't checking.
Sloppy could be a couple times and then cut it off, and then this nigga tripping. Now he drive by the house.
That's
That could be
sloppy.
sloppy.
So
That's
why you pick
sloppy.
somebody that
Why
act
you
like that?
that
But
don't know the rules?
Sloppy is doing it at all. Then ain't it? You saying work it out? He tried to work it out.
It
He
should
hit
be,
it a
but at the
couple
same
times.
time,
Look,
like
look, look.
why are you dealing with somebody that don't know the rule? You know, and
He
then, and
tried to
then
work it out. He hit it a couple times. He hit it real strong, and then man, old girl showed up at the job. She started tripping. He
nope,
let her go.
you
He
should have
worked
cut
it
that
out.
all
You
the way
should
off.
have. You
Nope,
should
you
have
don't know the
established
That's the
rules.
problem.
I'm cutting
from
this all the
jump.
way off.
You see how
Now, I
that
mean, I
slippery
learned
slope
it's
go?
just you just shouldn't go down that route in the first.
Exactly. But
If you like peace in your life, then that ain't the route you want to go. I know that for a fact.
right, getting married
Now,
is not the is getting married is not the route you want to go.
I'm saying having side chicks and all that stuff is not the route you want to go.
Don't
It's
do
too much
I'm
it.
headache.
playing. I'm
It's too
playing. I'm playing.
complicated. Even if your spouse is gonna stay with you, it's
I'm
just
playing. I'm playing. That's
And then
exactly.
on
it's
the
too
second,
complicated.
yeah, that's number one. Don't be sloppy
Exactly.
with it. And then on top of that, I'm going to evaluate our relationship. I don't get people who just gotta dig and dig and dig all the time. If we good, I ain't got no reason to worry about. Now if you got an attitude with me for no reason and this, I had to listen in previous relationship. I didn't pay attention to all that stuff. But when it came to the point to where you disgruntled, you getting mad, you getting attitudes with me, and I ain't did, I'm like, look, you need to control whatever you got going on. You need to control that. Don't bring that between us. You need to that's going to be an issue because I will evaluate how you treat me and how you operate in this household. Even if you're doing something out there, then obviously you can't handle it. You probably don't need to be doing it because you're not handling it well. Because now you over here got some
Now you in
attitude
here
issue with
acting
me,
crazy with
and
me.
I ain't did nothing to you. So now that's when we got an issue. But you know that's a different story. All right, we hit 2 hours. About to get out here. Ivory, you got any final words?
Nope. Watch High IQ Mondays at 9.
High IQ Mondays at 9.
Yeah.
Wiz, what you got going on, Wiz?
Oh man, I'm just getting off of work. You know me, I'm on the night shift. I barely get to chime in, but I came in this time, and just me, man, getting to the music. That's my thing, man. 2022, getting these placements up. That's what it is.
That's what's up. We sure appreciate you jumping on. I
All
was
right.
looking at an old episode we had probably about a year ago. It was something about men or whatever. I remember seeing you on there. We were talking about some men stuff. We had a bunch of men. That was the most men we ever had on a Zoom call.
Yeah, it sure was.
All right. Well, until next week, make sure you comment, join the page. Make sure if you're watching this that you also subscribe to our YouTube page. We're trying to build the YouTube channel up. So when the Book of Faces, when it all hit the fan, then we've already been ready to pivot and we on the next platform.
All right.
So until next time, we see y'all next week. Have a good night.
All right, y'all.